Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Sam and I were just talking about his wonderful production of She Kills Monsters.
Sure. We had our opening and closing night last night. Well, that's not really true. We had one live performance and then we had a recording of said live performance that was available today. So it went really well. We
It
didn't
did.
really have any technical problems and I had a really great time doing the show.
And and it got me in the feels.
Good. It's a good show. It's funny. It's got really feely moments and it's a good show.
It is a really good show. If you missed it, you missed it. You missed out.
How theater works.
That's how theater works. But I would keep an eye on Little Renegade Productions. I would keep an eye on Sam Gianfala. Keep an eye on Kelsey Weinstein. I
Yeah.
always want always catch myself. Um,
I do the same thing.
yeah, I know. It was a really fun production, I have to say. And She Kills Monsters, I really recommend. It's a great story, and it is very funny and silly, and then it gets you in the feels if you have a heart.
Yes. I've seen that show several times, and it's always just like so good.
It's good.
It's one of my favorites.
It's about family and relationships, and it's inspiring, like theater should be.
Yeah.
All right, real quick announcements before we get to our special guest. Tonight, this is a really cool announcement. Tonight is opening night of Zoom Date.
Zoom Date.
Yes.
Oh, what is that?
That is our first show in our new play series that we're showing virtually.
Really?
Yes.
Who's in it? Who's directing? Who edited?
Well, let me tell you all about it. We have, oh gosh, I'm just checking right now to make sure we were streaming. That would be hysterical if we weren't. We are. Who is in it, I will tell you, is starring Gail Bernardi and Dave Park. Hysterical actors. Wonderful to work with. I've worked with both of them. Gail was on our show last Sunday. Delightful woman. I love her to pieces. It is written and directed by Stanley Brown, who I've seen
the one and only.
The one and only. I've seen a couple of his pieces. He's really great, and it is really a cute show. And it was recorded and edited by Sam Gianfala, who we all know I'm a huge fan of.
I'm also a huge fan of.
You should be. I like his work. He does great work.
I thank you. Thank you so much. I'll pass the message on down.
Please do. I work with him a lot. I use him for most of my video campaign.
Yeah.
He's great. He's great. He's great to work with. He's very talented. I love it. So everyone, so you know, tonight is opening night of Zoom Date. We will be streaming it. You can catch it and watch it with us tonight all together, or you can watch it whenever you want until October 24th. That's closing night. October 24th is closing night. And then we will be showing a new play series in November and December because October is the October Musical.
Musical.
Yay, woo-woo. So you make sure you want to see that. And I will have to get back to you whether or not we're going to air that. We don't normally air them, so I don't know if we're going to air that. But you can always attend a member meeting and watch it live.
They are open to the public.
Yes, they are. And stay for a member meeting. They're great. They're the third Wednesday of every month. And they're very informative, and it's lots of fun. And then November's virtual play is directed by Sam Gianfala.
Again, I have 40 hours in the day, and I like to use all of them.
That's great. That's great. We're going to have to talk later about how you got 40. That's amazing.
Yeah, we will.
Will you tell us a little bit more about your show next week, or when we get a little closer to November? I meant next month.
I was like, nope, no, not next week. Yes, I will talk more about the cast and the script and what it's about and all that kind of stuff as we get closer. But I'm really excited for it.
I heard a rumor that today's guest might possibly be in your show. Is that a good? Can you confirm that? Are you willing to confirm that?
I am not allowed to confirm that yet, but
okay.
There's gossip magazines that are saying this person might be in it.
That I read the rumor today in Variety, so I wasn't sure. I think it was variety. It might have been something else, but
Well, you'll find out soon enough.
okay, good. Okay, and those for everybody. Those air after the member meeting for the first time. That's the premiere, and then we will open it after KP Live the Sunday following. So yay! That's how you can watch that. All right, let's bring on our guest, shall we?
Well, who's our guest today? I know him, actually.
I do too. I'm a big fan.
I'm also a big fan. He is my voice teacher.
He's my voice teacher.
He's also your voice teacher. He is an actor. He is the house manager of the very own Caitlin Plays.
Yes.
And he is also, I said an actor. What else is he?
Singer, musical director. He's wonderful. Very multi-talented. And fun fact, he's an IT wizard. So that is lovely.
He really does do it all.
He really does do it all. So without further ado, let's bring on Marty Feldman.
How does this work again? What do I click?
It's the video button, Marty, the video button.
Great showcase of your IT wizardry.
That's what
I really would love it if you came on. It was like the blue screen of death. Actually, knock on wood. I would not. I would hate that. I'm sorry.
Hey.
Hi. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I was red in the face and embarrassed when you were gushing over there. It's the weirdest. It's just the weirdest thing.
You should not be embarrassed. A few weeks ago, we were all gushing over you. We happened to have three of your students on at the same time.
Yeah.
And we were gushing about how great of a voice teacher you are. And you are. And I know that you get embarrassed, but we were going to get rid of the gushing and just talk logistics so that you don't have to feel
Please. I never know where to look. Do I look at the camera? Do I look at you?
Wherever you want.
Where my eyes are.
If you want to look at one of us to talk to us, do that. And if you want to talk to the audience, you can look at the camera and say, hi, audience. And I want to say really quickly, because the star of Zoom date, Dave Park, is on right now. And
really?
he's a big fan of the show. He said, love you guys. We love you too, Dave. Daddy.
We love you, Dave.
Love you, Daddy. He played my daddy, and Daddy's dying. He's got the will.
Yeah.
Let me clarify.
I got a text message from somebody who thought they were on the wrong YouTube station because it didn't show this when it started at 7. So
that's my fault because there was an accident on La Cienega. But so
you're
sorry.
running from meeting to meeting.
I know.
Yeah. I didn't mean to make you stars. Hopefully that person's on now.
I hope they are as well. Well, text them and tell them to watch. So, Marty, let's get started. Can you tell us a little bit about you? Where are you from? How did you get involved in theater? Tell us about Marty.
Well, I am from New York, from Brooklyn, New York. Do you hear my accent? I mean, I'm a New Yorker, and it took many years to actually get that accent out of my voice. Many years of college vocal studies to get that out of my voice. But I was brought up in Brooklyn. I went to Manhattan School of Music for vocal arts. I went to for high school. I was in Brooklyn Tech. I was in a technical high school, all boys school, and in my junior year, I was lucky enough to meet a woman who took over the chorale group at the high school, and somehow she took me under her wing, and I got involved in music, and I got involved in singing, and I got involved in doing Sky Masterson and their only production of a musical what's a musical? Guys and Dolls. Guys and Dolls. And they brought in the sister school to get all the girls from there to play the girls' parts, and I was on the way. I ended up stopping what I was originally going for, which was medical. I was going to go. So this technical school was leading me into pre-med and leading me into tech schools and eventually med school. And I ended up leaving that and going and auditioning for Juilliard, Manhattan School of Music, and Mannes School of Music, and got accepted into all three. But Juilliard was a little suspicious of me. They kept asking me over and over again, "How old are you?" And we thought it was probably not a good choice. And so I went with Manhattan School of Music, and I had 4 great years there, and studied opera and vocal arts. And then through lots of trials and tribulations, ended up in California and was not performing, put that all to rest, and then was fortunate enough to run into somebody that you both know, Liz Reinhardt, at Sinai Temple through a vocal coach. I mean, it's so weird. It's like I had somebody who thought that I really needed to be in my music, back in music, so they got me voice lessons. The voice lessons led to a particular person in town called Tova Morkos, and Tova got me to go down to an audition at Sinai Temple, and I got into a play there, and then met Liz Reinhardt, and she pointed me in the direction of Kentwood players, and that's how I ended up segueing all through different parts of town to get to where I know you guys now. But that's that segue. But back in Brooklyn, I'm trying to remember if I had any opportunities to perform. I know I was always the kid who wanted to perform, and there was an opportunity to audition for something. Anybody remembers who Merv Griffin is? Back in New York City, there was the Merv Griffin show, and he was doing a show for talented kids, and they came to our school because, don't ask me why, but I think it's because Julie Budd, who's the sister of Barbra Streisand, there's some relationship there. They came and she was part of that school, and they came and they were looking for young kids who had talent, and I came down with chickenpox. And I say that is the reason why I didn't have a career in Broadway.
Wow. Well, but this is interesting. This is interesting because you're trained in opera, right? Originally. When did you start doing musical theater? Was it that age, or was it when you got to California?
Right at the time before California, I started. I was what everybody does in New York. I was sort of a waiter, performer, actor, and ran into some people who were telling me about Provincetown and not Fire Island, but P-Town and P West. That people were doing that who could perform in those locations. And so I went to Provincetown and I started doing musical theater songs there. And that's what got me into doing sort of musical theater at that was. And they kept saying to me, "How come you never went to Broadway?" And I went, "Because that was not my track. My track wasn't that. I was doing opera and never really went that way." So I'm sort of a confused theater person. Like, as an arts person, I'm glad I was trained that way, but at the same time, I really probably would have benefited from being in a theater arts program, of some sort, but didn't do that. I know I tried to take dance lessons at one of the neighborhood, big dance um, places in New York City, but I was scared out of my wits in those classes, so I didn't stay. But that's all I remember about my New York experience about that. I did maybe 1 or 2 shows that I was cast in that didn't go anywhere, and then I thought, well, nothing's going to happen here. So, and that's what got me into IT and tech. I just decided to go do something else, and thought, performing's not going to be my thing, so I'll go do something. And
But it is in your DNA,
Unfortunately.
and you came back.
You never really stopped doing it.
No.
No, I didn't. I didn't. And I don't know what to say about that. I'm glad I'm here now.
What kept you coming back? What made you not just want to?
Well, if you ask other people, they would say because I was the meanest son of a bitch when I wasn't doing anything artistic. And they would say, would you just go back to doing some kind of performing because you're not a nice person to me. And that's for all the people who think I'm not a nice person that I am. But you're right. It's sort of in my blood. I always found myself sitting down at the piano and singing, or I always found myself going to see shows and going, I can do that. I think I can do that. Maybe I can do that. You know, it became one of those things, which is it was always sort of a little scary, and yet I was willing to try.
I think there's something, it's interesting you talk about, making a joke about being a pleasant person or something like that. And then I think that there's when you see it happening and you have this feeling of like, I could be in that, I could be doing that. I think there's something that we need as artists when we're being creative and we're expressing and sharing and bonding. There's something that we need. So we're drawn to it when we see it. And then it affects us. I mean, I'm the same way. I wasn't sure how I was going to handle pandemic with not being able to perform for a year.
Well, you mentioned to me about your experience of being in New York and going through the auditions and just having that whole experience. I never really did the audition experience in New York. I lived there, but I didn't go through that whole process that everyone else goes through who lives there and wants that. And I feel like I had missed opportunities. Like I chose to take myself out of the game. I didn't think I was good enough, so I decided not to go further with opera. I didn't think I was good enough, so I decided not to do something. I think the only thing that's been great is that because this is such a communicative form, you do something and you get immediate response from people. The act of being able to sing in front of somebody or act in front of somebody and have them say to you, why are you not doing this? Was really what catapulted me back in. Because I would do something thinking, oh, this is just a group, I'm really not that good. And then somebody would come up and go, why is it that you're not doing this? And that's what led me to keep going. Is that there was always somebody else behind me who would listen to me rehearse or practice or listen to me do something and then go, you really should be doing something. And I would be like, okay, you think so? But I didn't always feel that security. And so now when I teach young students, I'm like, I'm the rah-rah. I want them to know that if they really dig in and take control of it, they can actually have anything they want. They shouldn't do what I did. They shouldn't sell themselves short and leave. And wait 50 years to do it. They should do it when they're younger and actually not walk away from it. So that's all I can say about that.
Yeah,
Watch it used to come.
When I'm taking lessons from you, I definitely see that. I never feel like you're doing this wrong. You're stupid. You're wrong. Da da da. It's if I'm doing something wrong and I know I'm doing something wrong, you're like, you can do this right. Back up and do it right because you can do it. Like I feel like even though you do push me, I feel like you're pushing me to be my best. So I definitely see that from you.
Yeah, I don't know what would have happened. I mean, my parents are both gone. I love them dearly. They did what they could do, but they were not theater parents. You know what I'm talking about. They were not those kind of parents who did everything in their power to make sure I got somewhere in this business.
Yeah.
So why can't I be that for everybody else? I can see the potential in everything. So I wouldn't want to sell anybody short. It's just you if you work at something, and I've watched both of you. I've watched your growth, Sanji. You know that. And Samantha, I've watched your process. Your process is you don't settle for good enough. You're like, there you go beyond what I think is great. You say no, I'm going to go one step beyond that. That's who you are. So I work with both of you, so I know that you both have that in you. And that's why, Sanjay and Paula, you get casting things. You're getting cast. You're good. Well, you're good. You present somebody who really gives somebody an opportunity to see that you will give your all. You will give your all. And sometimes that's really what people are looking for more than anything else. Being a music director, I can say that. I would much rather have somebody who proves to me they really want to do it, other than them being perfect right in that moment.
Well, and I want to talk more about that, because how did you go from being a performer into being a musical director? And how is that journey? And then what are the kinds of the things that draw you into that?
Well, again, to be truthful about this, the music directing has really been the children's programs. It hasn't been with the adult program. I haven't been willing to take that lead. I haven't taken that risk. But in the world of young performers, I just love seeing everybody excel. I think it's what we were talking about with Sam now. It's like I look at this raw talent and I go, oh my God, if we just worked on that, and we just did this, they would be incredible. And it would just blow people away. And that's really what motivates me about any of this stuff. But really, it goes back to, again, living in New York. When I was being an actor waiter, I was teaching voice lessons back in New York, in my New York apartment. And I had a lot of musical theater people back then. And I couldn't tell you now what has happened to any of them. I have no clue. But so there was always this bug in me to want to teach and want to convey. And it's not because I think I know any better. It's not like I know the technique. I mean, I've studied with enough voice teachers to know that there are different techniques and different ways people convey how you use your voice. And there's right ways and there's really a lot of wrong ways. But there's a number of different right ways. My thing about the voice or about conveying anything to other people is it has to be organic. This is organic. There's something here that's alive and breathing, and it cannot be treated like an instrument, like a violin or an oboe, that is a little bit mechanical. You want to eventually make those things that are mechanical sound like they're organic, but this is organic, and it has to be looked at that way. So that's my thought process. So it was a natural progression when I got here into town to finally realize that I have my style of conveying what I listen to. So this speaks to music directing, this speaks to voice lessons, or vocal coaching. I listen very carefully to what I hear people doing, a student, a group of kids. And I put myself in the place of thinking, how do I want to hear that? Like, there's something I'm not hearing the way I would like to hear it. Let me see if I can convey that. And if I can convey what it is that would make it more pleasant to my ears, then it will make it more pleasant to an audience's ears and a director's ears and people who are going to pay to hear you in the future. It's my listening. It's what my brain does. So I may not be as known or as skillful as some other voice coaches out there or music directors out there, but what I hear is this essence of purity about conveying a message vocally or whatever. I don't know, does that make any sense? But that's what moves me to want to teach. That's what moves me to want to music direct. Is that I hear something and I go, oh, I think you can make that better. And maybe they'll let, like, maybe they'll give me a second to let me give them a little bit of a push in a direction and give
I,
them an idea.
I want to say something I find very interesting, given what you're saying, because we use words like right or better or something like that. But I feel like what really resonates with me whenever you're teaching is that it doesn't. I guess the result might be better if we're thinking freer or more pleasant, or but I'll tell you what I think resonates with me is that it becomes authentic and connected. And I don't know if the sound, because I mean, art is subjective, so I don't know if the sound of it is better, but I think the feel of it is better. And I don't mean just vocally the freedom, because yes, that too, but I mean like just watching it, that connection between the storytelling and the vocal performance. And it just feels like more engaged when I'm doing it and when I'm watching it. I can tell when you've worked with somebody and I'm watching their performance and I'm like, that's connected.
Right, because there's different ways of sounding better. That sound isn't going to work for every single character that you're playing or whatever story that you're telling. And when Marty has worked with me, we've had to do different things for different characters. So sometimes I'm like, I have to play a hero character. Sometimes I have to play a super flamboyant character, and neither of those two things are really gonna have a similar. They're gonna have a similar sound because they're both coming from my voice, but they're gonna have a different feel because it's a different kind of thing I'm telling.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because that is the truth. I teach the same way to everybody. Like there is not a different way that I teach Sam, the two Sams here, or anybody else. I pretty much do the same thing. But when you can get to an authentic, natural, organic sound, you will create a unique sound that is only you. It won't be anybody else's sound. You won't sound like Idina Menzel. You will sound like you, who's doing a style like her, or who is as free voice as her, but you are doing you. And that's what I'm listening for. I'm listening for the freedom to express yourself in any way you want to express yourself, as opposed to, oh, it's got to be this way. You know, I know what vocal is the right way. This is supposed to do it. So, you know, but I'm dealing with that with myself because I'm also an actor and a singer, and I take lessons. And I'll be the first one to go, I'll start to sing something and I'll go, that is not good. You know, like that's the good and bad. The good and bad comes up when I'm talking about myself. Like, that is not great. You know how to do that better. Come on, let's get that. Let's, you know, and really what I'm saying for me is, are you connected? Are you authentic? Is it coming from that place? And when it is, then I'm happy with the sound I'm producing. Otherwise, I'm not. And so that's what guides everything pretty much I do in life, which is my conversation. You heard this, guys, which is don't do it the way I do. Don't waste 50 years. Don't go out and do the audition without being prepared. Or don't. I mean, I can cite every single thing not to do. So I keep saying, just don't do what I did. Find the right thing for you, but just don't do what I did.
Well, Marty, let me just say, you can also say a lot of things that are great ideas to do. And you give that advice a lot as well. And I appreciate it. Yeah. So
I'm all over the map. I'm sorry.
You're great. This is what we do. We talk about our process and our beliefs and philosophies and go wherever it takes us.
Right.
So when you're let's phrase it like this. When you're music directing, also it sounds like when you're teaching voice, when you're acting, what is your end game? What is your main goal that you're wanting to accomplish?
Wow. The word that comes out for me personally, is to feel accomplished. Like on a personal level to feel like that was the best work I can do. Like that right now. Then maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll be something different in the future. But for right now, that's the best work. So, when I work with somebody and they are ready to do an audition and I say, sing it one more time for me. And I hear it and I go, they're going to blow their socks off. I mean, I don't think they realize how good they are. But I listen to that last version before they're going to do the audition, and I go, don't change anything. Right, Sam? I say, don't change anything you just did.
Yeah, just go in and do what you've been practicing.
Just do what you've been practicing. Don't let them phase you. Just, you're prepared. Don't get tweaked. And you just do this, and you will blow them away. And I'm not bullshitting and lying at that point. That is my feeling at that point. So I feel accomplished for that person. And the same thing is true about the musical theater stuff that I've done with you, Samantha. It's like I watch the kids do their final dress in their performances, and I'm like, we did that. Like they're doing it, but we're the reason why they're doing that right now. Like that wouldn't be. You guys don't know what that looked like 3 weeks ago, or even a week ago, or 5 days ago. But look at that now, and you go, we were the reason for it. So I feel accomplished about that. And the same thing is true for auditioning and performing. It's like Match is the best example, right? We did a show a few years ago. Bruce starred directing me in Match, and right before we opened, I crashed and burned. I can admit that. It was like there will be other people who say the same thing. It's like my brain just shut down the day before the open. And I went, I can't do this. It's too many words. It's too many everythings. It's just too much. And I couldn't see beyond that. I just couldn't see the day after. I couldn't see the curtain down. I couldn't see the end of that night. All I could see was people are going to go and they're going to realize I'm a farce. I have nothing. This is a lie. This is all a lie. I don't have anything. And that terrified me. And then the end game was that I have such a group of people who surrounded me, from Samantha to Melody Rivers to Susan Westbrook to Gail Bernardi to other people who were to Bruce to Jenny, to just people who made sure that I knew that they had my back and that I could move through. And so the end game for me was set foot on that stage and just perform. Just be authentic and do your job. This is a job in this moment. Do your job, but enjoy yourself. And find the joy in that moment. And once I got started, I couldn't wait to do performances every night. It was like, oh my God. So it was like I had to experience that. And I think some people have experienced that, where you just are terrified. And you're like, they're going to find out I'm just a fraud. And, you go up from there. It's the same thing about teaching. It's like when I teach, I'm always thinking, oh, is this person going to come back to me and go, you don't know what the hell you're doing, and then walk out of the room? It does hit me every once in a while, which is I'm prepared for it. But the end game is really for people to go, wow, that really made a difference. Your performance made a difference for me. Your music direction made a difference for me. So that's the part of ego is that aspect, which is to feel really accomplished, that the work you did was of value, and people acknowledge that. A lot of words.
That's okay. I've had so many moments where I have almost psyched myself out for an audition, for a performance, and oh, I'm gonna change my song. I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna change that. And then I just have to think, especially the things that you tell me when we're in our lessons, is just like, no, just go in there and just do it the way I did it for Marty. It's gonna, what happens, happens. I was happy with what I did 2 days ago when I was at your house, or we were on a FaceTime call working on it. So we're just gonna go in and do that. And then sometimes I walk out and I'm like, that was the most focused I've ever felt. And whenever that happens, I usually get good results. And so I've had to learn that too, of just like not psyching myself out and not wanting to just change things all of a sudden because I get really nervous and start second guessing myself.
Well, you just said the important word for how I am with like music directing and with voice students. The thing is to focus your energy on what you know to do. And that's what Sam and others were trying to get me to do for Match, was that next was go back on that stage. Yes, you crashed and burned the day before, but go back on that stage and focus all that energy and all of that stuff right now, and be in the moment, and just listen to what actors are saying to you and respond with how you would as the character responded. And it's like I can do that. So if there's anything I can teach everybody out there, it's not so much about getting it right. It's really just about the job we do is to listen and convey. And if you can listen and convey as an actor or as a singer, you will touch hearts, you will move people, the end game will be revealed. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah,
answer your question?
Yes.
Yes, you did. One of the best advices I've ever gotten from an acting teacher was stop watching yourself. Because if you're watching yourself, you're not in the scene anymore. You're in the audience, you're outside of it, you're not in the scene anymore. So anytime I catch myself saying, oh, that was weird, I was like, I'm watching myself, look at the other person and focus.
It's a hard thing.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing. Sam, you're smiling. What are you?
Which Sam?
That's Sam. That's Sam. That's Sam. That was okay. Over there.
Oh my gosh, you're fine. No, I agree with you. I'm smiling in just that contentment of yep.
Oh, I learned, right? Didn't I learn my lesson?
Yeah. My young Padawan. No, just kidding. That's one of the things that I love.
Kentwood has been a gift to me. Kentwood has, and all the people I've met there now. And I've been fortunate enough to work in other theaters as well in here. So it's not like that hasn't been an opportunity. But I know we're gonna talk about this, but really, there is this family at Kentwood that means a lot to me, and the building itself became a home, and it's where I grew up as an actor when I finally decided to come back to do this. So because of that, sure, there's a lot of crap that can happen there and has happened there, and there's a lot of reasons why people come and go and don't want to ever come back again. But I'm inviting everybody who's ever gone away to come back and come back to family, and let's all be a family again, because that is authentic too. That is that place. That is that when that's happening, there's this authentic way of being with each other, and you can fight with each other, and you can disagree with each other, and you can have all of those things that families have. But then you want to be there, and you want to do those things, and that's what Westchester Playhouse has been for me. Love to hear of anybody else.
That's a common theme, actually, that we get a lot from people that are on the show that are Kentwood members or performed at Kentwood, and that is that it's a great place to experience and to grow, and it's a family. So it's very common, and I think that that's pretty common in theater as a whole. I feel like as we've gone out to other theaters, and we all three have come from different places. I find that that's a common theme in theater, and I feel like it is necessary for us as a community and as a people. How do you feel about the strength, power, and use of theater in community and for our society? What's our role? What's our purpose as artists?
Well, again, if we're authentic and we're doing a performance authentically, whatever show we've chosen to do, people will be moved by it. So the role is to um, really be there for the community, be there as a community. We are a community theater, not a regional theater. We're not, people are not coming from out of town to come see the Westchester Playhouse because we're on the map. But that would be nice if we were. But the community wants to come because these are members of the community, and the people from around, we're there for each other. And so if we are doing things from Fiddler on the Roof to Parade to Clybourne to Raisin in the Sun, if we're really touching on thematic pieces about our people that have something that speaks to everyone. The Fiddler on the Roof story is a thematic story that can fit everyone who deals with being taken away from their home. And so if you're authentic about telling that story, and you present it that way, there's something there for people. And so the same thing I feel is true about, everything else. And we have even a bigger opportunity because I think we're reaching more people on Zoom than just saying people come to the theater, where, if somebody has to buy a ticket and actually come to the theater to see a performance. And right now, if we do our job right, we can give the larger community out here in the world of theater online an opportunity to see some of the same shows we did live with the same authentic approach. And I think people would just love that and want to hear that. So that's who I think we are for the community, what we are for theater, what we are for other actors. Like, we want to be here. This pandemic has not shut me down about teaching people. I want to teach as many people as possible. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not taking any money during this period. So this is not about getting paid to teach. This is about, I want people to be ready so that when this is over and we are back to performing, that people are ready, that their vocal chops are there, that they haven't atrophied for a year and a half. They are actually prepared to hit the bricks running and get back out there and perform at their top of the game instead of having them now work their way back up to do it.
I'm totally ready as soon as we can. I have not let anything atrophy at all this entire time.
But, this is who we can be for each other, which is to make sure we're all still, we're not sitting home depressed. Look, I feel bad for the people from the Metropolitan Opera to Broadway to here in town who don't have a job because their job is not useful right in the theater industry. But at the same time, I don't think people should be sitting at home so depressed about this when there's lots of opportunities right now to do something. And you guys can speak to that because I'm not the guy out there doing self-tapes and auditioning, but there's a lot of other people doing that. Yeah. And there's lots of opportunity to perform, and there's lots of places, venues online to sing and do stuff. And, just keep yourself in the game.
Yeah.
My thing. I don't know. Why did I go there?
Well, I think you make so many great points in that even though, doing this online has so many limitations, people who haven't been able to see my stuff since high school are now being able to watch it. And I think that what this platform does allow us to do is it allows us to really grow our community even farther than it could have ever gone, even though we're not really allowed to have set changes or lighting changes or anything like that. But speaking on the pandemic, what kind of changes would you like to see to, whether it's Kentwood or just the theater industry in general, what kind of changes do you want to see post-pandemic?
Changes I'm not sure about. You look, even after there's a cure for this, there's going to be the next, whatever that's going to be. we have to be prepared for this future of anything can happen. But what we should do is we should now see this as an opportunity to have theater be interactive, not just physical theater, you go to a theater, but also every theater performance somehow also represent itself online. Not just the concept of, oh, we're going to record this for future playing, but actually bridge it together and actually create, somebody come up with a way to keep both things alive and running at the same time. And so that there is a future in this. And it's not just back to the old way it was. That's my point. But I don't know what, we can talk about, I hope every theater has good air filtration systems so that, right now we're in the middle of restoring Kentwood and we're going to put a new HVAC system in, and the goal with the HVAC system is that, and some of us who've acted there know that we have sometimes not been well, sometimes people get sick upstairs in the dressing room, and we think it's because of the filtration system. But, we're going to put a system in that's going to keep people healthy. So what do I want to see? I want to see theaters invest in keeping their actors healthy and keeping the theater goers healthy, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And we're looking at what that looks like. How do you perform in the age of a pandemic? How can we do some performances? We have a friend in Gustav, who's our president of the board, who's now down in Mexico. I forget where she is. Somewhere down.
She's in Mexico, yeah.
Mexico.
Yeah. And they did performances. She said they had 35 to 50 people seated outside in their patio. And they had 6 actors on the stage performing. So people are finding ways to perform right now. And we've got to get creative and figure out how to keep ourselves alive and happy and not depressed. Staying home going, oh, I wish I was acting again. I don't have any place to go. And actually having places to go and having something for people to do. That's.
Well, we need to wrap up, and I want to head over to Zoom Date, which people can catch on YouTube right now. But I wanted to ask you a few questions, or our little standard questions. If you have a favorite experience or a favorite role or show that you have done that has stuck with you, and why?
Look, I think being a New York Jew, I am born to play Tevye. So I will always have my experience of being Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof is my favorite. I would do it over and over again. So that's my favorite. And I was fortunate enough to do that with the Long Beach Playhouse. So I would love to do another one when we're back. I'd still love to do it. 70 pounds lighter, but I'd still love to do one. Actually, 80 pounds lighter.
I love it. That's great.
Like to do it.
That's great.
So that's that. And what else?
Do you have I'm stealing this from Sam. Sam likes to ask this one.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Do you have a crazy debacle or a show that was a debacle or an experience that was a debacle?
Experience. I got to play Mr. Mushnick in Little Shop of Horrors up in, oh my God.
Sierra Madre? No.
They're going to kill me. What?
Was it Sierra Madre?
What? No. I'll remember in a second. But, yeah, I know my brain. This is what my fear was. I won't remember. So there's a moment when Mr. Mushnick has to crawl into the plant to go after his money. And at one performance, the plant decided it had enough of me, Mr. Fat Guy, 30 pounds heavier, running through its mouth and its belly, and it collapsed on me. And this is rebar, and everything around it falling on me. And the crew freaked out and started behind the scrim, started running up to try to pull me through because my legs were hanging out in the audience. And I'm like, I can't get through because the thing has collapsed on me. And I am horrified. And yeah, that's my one.
Wait, I have a question though. Isn't there a puppeteer in the plant?
the puppeteer in this particular thing was out on the side. The puppeteers were out
Oh,
on the
okay,
side.
okay.
So I went through the center, and the center was built up that it wasn't supposed to collapse. But I don't know. I could see it was going to happen.
Oh,
Like I would go
no.
in, and I would catch on a piece of fabric here or
Oh,
there,
no.
and I'd pull on it, and it would just pull, and I
Oh,
could just
no.
saw it going to happen someday, and it did. And I think Samantha, you were at that show.
I think I was, but we couldn't tell. Because I remember you said something happened in the plant, and I'm like, oh, okay. Because I mean, maybe your feet were out there a really long time, but, so I didn't really notice that it was not a
He's supposed to
choice.
go through. He's supposed to go through it. He's not supposed to go and then
And then just stay there.
with his legs going, get me out of here.
But this also reminds me, and this will have to come at another time, but what we just did right now reminded me of The Little Mermaid on ropes.
I wasn't in that show.
No.
That was hilarious. It was a student of mine.
One day it was who
I
great
tell my
student,
friends this story because it's
great
so
student, great performance, but it was
It
children.
was a great performance, but it was horrific watching somebody fly back and forth from wing to wing while they were singing one of the crab songs.
Oh my gosh. I love live theater. Oh, it's the best.
I could have sworn he was going to smash right into the proscenium.
It's
and I
the
was like,
best.
no one could watch it. No one could listen. We were all horrified.
Oh, which is a shame because he's a really talented kid, actually. Yay. Well, Marty, thank you so much for sitting with us and joining with us and talking about your process and approach and reminding us to stay present. And I want to say personally, thank you, because one of the gifts, and we talked about this a little bit. Oh no, we talked about it mostly, but in these words, you give people their voice back. You help them find their voice. And I think that's very important, especially right now in this day and age where people have felt that they haven't had a voice for a really long time. And you are the type of person that helps people to find their voice. And personally, you helped me find my authentic voice. And I thank you. And I thank you for your work.
And I always think of how grateful I am that you came up to me and was like, do you want to do a voice lesson with me? Because I had been looking for one forever, and you came down in a cloud to help me.
Yeah, I don't remember it being a cloud. But
Well,
Well, thank you.
all right,
Thank you. And thank you so much for being with us. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And
for watching.
click off here, click onto the YouTube again, and watch Zoom Date. It's so good.
Yes, watch Zoom.
Watch Zoom Date. All right,
In
everyone.
about 5.5 minutes.
Hi, Gail.
All right.
Bye, David.
All right. We'll see you all next Sunday when we have Drew Fitzsimmons, and we're going to talk more Kentwood Kids. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a